very, very welcome here. So this session, for those of you who don't know me, first of all, hello and lovely to meet you. My name is Claire. I've been a therapist for about 13 years and just solely in private practice for about the last 6 years and just work for myself and work with self-funded clients. My niche is working with women who struggle with binge eating. And I spend half the week kind of in my private practice and half the week mentoring and membership for counselors and therapists in private practice. If you're coming along to this session and thinking this is like a deep dive into ethics around AI or implications for therapists and AI and the future of AI, that's not what this session is about. I'm just simply someone who wants to try and make my life easier. And if there's ways I can try and make my life easier, I'm all for it. So this session is just really, I'm going to be sharing some of the ways in which I use AI to try and help me in running my private practice, some of the ways I've created like tools and resources to help other therapists to do the same. And maybe to just get you maybe thinking for yourself, like, are there any particular like repetitive tasks or anything in which using AI might be helpful for you? I am absolutely not a tech expert or whiz. Um, and yeah, this is a lot of this has just been my own kind of learning by doing and playing about with it. And this is primarily kind of focused around ChatGPT. So I'll go through kind of the ways in which I use it. I do have like a little tool, like a little GPT tool that I'm going to do a little demo around and you guys can try out yourself. So if you're on a laptop or something there, if you do have ChatGPT open, hopefully you've maybe got you can set up a free account or you should be able to just open the app and go into it and you can have a little play about with this demo tool. And then at the end, if there's any questions that you have for me, we will cover it off then. Just checking the chat. Will the recording be available? Yeah, this is recording, so I can send out the recording after the session has finished. So let's get started. So yeah, just like I said, AI, ChatGPT, it's all very, very contentious at the minute. There's lots of conversations going on about it. There's lots of chat and counselling Facebook groups about it. We've seen a lot of posts about people falling in love with their ChatGPT. ChatGPT being very leaning in towards being positive and affirming and being positive and affirming towards behaviors that someone who's in a mental health crisis, which is obviously very concerning. And yeah, lots of concerns around the future of AI and therapy chatbots and all of that stuff is very, very real. And we're right to have concerns, and there are lots of concerns out there. But what we often do see and what we talk about is in the news is all of those kind of worst case scenarios and all of the things that can go wrong and all the things we do need to be concerned about, and we do need to be mindful of these things and how we use it. But what gets missed then is the ways in which this could be potentially very beneficial for us, in particular coming from a place of individuals who are self-employed. And from my perspective as a therapist in private practice, spinning lots of plates, we have a lot of jobs to do in private practice. And when it comes to managing the admin, the marketing side of it, there's a lot to do. So I'm coming through the perspective of how do we try and make the job that we do easier, if possible. So maybe you could let me know if you have a little kind of function to respond. How do you feel about AI right now, and in particular, perhaps ChatGPT? If you have a little response, I'm hoping that you do have the little emojis at the bottom. If not, you can pop it in the chat. Are we nervous about it? Curious? Open to experimenting? Or perhaps you're already using it? Let me know. So we have a Curious, we have a little rocket already using it. I'm seeing rockets and thumbs up. Curious how it can help me in my work. Another rocket, already using it in bits, open to experimenting, aware of environmental impact, curious and overwhelmed by it. Okay. So a little bit of a mixed bag, some apprehension around it, some people already using it, some people maybe feeling a little bit uncertain around it. So that's great just to kind of get a bit of a sense check of where you are with it. So some of the things that will often come up around AI, and what I hear quite a lot is actually the content that AI puts out there, what ChatGPT puts out there is really naff. It sounds terrible. It sounds really robotic. It's full of all these emojis and I don't use emojis and it looks terrible. Um, and what I would really say is that if we're just putting in really simple instructions and requests to AI, it will sound like that. It will come out sounding robotic and sounding inauthentic. And what I encourage people to really think about is how do we start using it like we're working alongside it, that it's a thinking partner, but that we don't want to just be taking the information that it produces and it outputs and copy and pasting it. We always want to be going back and tweaking and editing it. I'm going to talk a little bit as we go through about how do we try and work with AI so that the output of it is much more authentic and much more aligned with us. And often that is about the account that we're using, whether we're using a free account or a paid account, and how much work we have put into the background of that. And is it even ethical? And this is very much for us to have our own kind of common sense hats on around how we choose to use AI and for what purposes that we're choosing to use it. I look at it that the ideas that I'm putting in, they're my ideas, and I'm just using AI to try and help construct them a little bit better or put it in a more kind of cohesive or understandable way. And maybe you feel concerned that you're not techie enough for this. It's very, very easy to learn. As I say, most of it I have just learned by practicing and by doing, and it is very intuitive. ChatGPT, it is very user friendly, and the more that you practice using it, the more confident that you will become in it. So just distinguishing there, I've mentioned about there's a difference between the free ChatGPT and the paid account. So I have a plus account, which is about £20 a month. If you are someone that, as a result of, maybe some of the things that we talk about today, that you think that you would potentially be using ChatGPT quite a lot, or you're already using it quite a lot, but maybe you're spending a lot of time having to edit it. I had this conversation recently with someone inside my membership community who is using AI for social media, but feels like she's spending so much time going back and editing all the content that it produces that it almost feels like it's not worthwhile. And for cases like that, where you're maybe using it quite a lot and frequently, it might be better to invest in the paid platform, because in the paid platform, there is just so much more capacity to train it in you and your practice and how you speak and your tone and the words you use. So it makes the output generally an awful lot better. So if you're on the free version, you tend to get so much usage per day for it, and then you tend to hit a paywall and you can't access it again for so long after. But it should always save whatever work you've been doing, should always be saved in the chat bar on the left-hand side. So you can just go back in and pick up where you left off, but it doesn't remember you. So it's sort of like starting again each time you go to do it. It doesn't support the custom GPTs. So custom GPTs are something that you can create inside the paid platform. And these are basically like little tools, like little co-workers that you can have trained to do specific tasks for you. So you could have, for example, a little tool that supports you in writing blogs. You could have one that supports you in writing Instagram posts. You could have one that supports you in writing emails, and that they all have specific little jobs that they do, and you have trained it and given it instructions around how it's going to do this to support you. And that's what we're going to have a little kind of play about with later on. There's no capacity to upload files on the free platform, but there is on the paid. But what you can do on the free platform is, although you can't upload documents and things like that, you can copy and paste in. So if you were wanting ChatGPT, for example, to audit things for you, you can copy and paste content into it and then give it instructions that you want it to do for you. So the free I can nearly talk. The free platform is more limited in terms of what it can do, which means that because you're sort of using it like from fresh and from scratch each time, that it might feel that the output of it does feel a little bit more generic, or the language feels a little bit more kind of American tone and speak. What I would recommend, if you are on the free platform and you are using it and you're not thinking about going to the paid version, it might be worthwhile doing something like creating like a one-page sheet. And on that, you have maybe information that would be really helpful for ChatGPT to know about you before it does any tasks. So that might be that on this page, you've got information about who your ideal client is, who you help, how you work, where you're based, how you tend to speak, how do you tend to kind of write, how do you present yourself, anything about you that's maybe unique, a little bit different, that maybe you would have all this on one page and one sheet. Put that in first before you ask ChatGPT to produce anything, so that it has much more of an idea of the output that it's going to create then for you. So some of the tools that are available to us, so like I mentioned, this is going to be focused more around ChatGPT, but there are specific platforms that have been created, and do let me know in the chat if you're using any of these, because I haven't actually used them myself, that there are specific AI platforms around note-taking that we can use. So Upheal, Twofold, and MentalYC are some of them. And what they basically will do is that you will either verbally transcribe, say, client notes into it, and it will kind of produce and save client notes for you. Or with some of them, it might be that there's in real time, like transcriptions of your session with clients that then are saved into client note format and saved into the platform as well. Those are all GDPR compliant, and of course you would be getting informed consent from your clients so that they're aware that you're using it. So say Hannah is using Upheal. I would be really interested to hear how you find it. Demi is using Claude AI. Super. So Claude AI, I think, is sort of like an alternative to ChatGPT. It's something similar. But Upheal is specifically for kind of client note taking. So I think those could be potentially really helpful if you're someone that tends to have quite a full caseload, and maybe you have comprehensive notes that you have to keep, that investing perhaps in a platform like that might be really helpful. But for this, we're going to focus more on ChatGPT. And there are some other platforms as well. So Canva, if any of you use Canva, Canva Pro has also introduced AI, where you can pretty much go in there and ask it to create PowerPoint slides for you, presentations, documents, branded things. So you just give it very specific instructions, upload your logo or whatever, and it will create some amazing things for you. So why do I mostly use ChatGPT? It's my coworker, it's my buddy. I'm growing quite attached to it. And it helps me in so many ways. And this maybe sounds silly, but even just down to life things. So for example, in the summer, I went on my first ever cruise, which I was super excited about. Never been on a cruise before, but I had no idea, like, what do you do on a cruise, and how do you organize like your excursions at these stops and all of this sort of stuff. And so I went to ChatGPT and I said, I'm on this cruise liner. These are the dates and these are the stops. This is who I'm going with. These are our ages. This is what we like. This is what we don't like. Give me an itinerary. And it literally gave me a suggested itinerary of places that we visit when we get off at these different stops, recommended restaurants that were good to eat at. It gave me the links to book the excursions, It did absolutely everything in the space of like an hour. In an afternoon, the itinerary was sorted, and then it printed off the itinerary in a Word document with all of the reservations that I had booked as well. So I use it in so many ways, and I suppose this is a good point to kind of think about your clients. If I'm doing stuff like that, or I'm booking holidays and all that sorts of stuff, your clients are probably using it as well. And some clients, I'm seeing chat in Facebook groups that some clients are using ChatGPT perhaps in between sessions to ask questions or do a little bit of processing around perhaps something that's happened or been discussed in your therapy session. So I kind of think it's here. It's not going to go away. I would rather be curious about it, get on board with it, learn it to the best of my ability, and understand how I can kind of stay ahead of the curve around it and use it to help me work more efficiently, to try and free me up to be able to do the work that I do best. But yeah, that's kind of the ways in which it can be really helpful. And the other point on that is that I'm going in and I'm searching like about cruises and I'm searching about this. What we're starting to see now is that some therapists are getting clients coming to them and saying, oh, I put a search into ChatGPT and you came up. So they're searching for a specific type of therapist. They're not going to Google anymore. They're going into ChatGPT to do this, and ChatGPT is making recommendations of therapists. And there are certain things that we can do as therapists in marketing our private practice to help us be found on ChatGPT search as well. So I use it as a versatile thinking partner. I will go in and have certain ideas around things I can do for my business, and it will be prompting me and asking certain questions, and it will be helping me to try and figure out how do I go about doing whatever this task is I want to do. How do I go about doing this in a logical way that makes sense, that makes it kind of straightforward and clear. So it's good at kind of breaking tasks down for me and explaining kind of steps to take. And I find for me, the £20 is the best £20 I could spend on my business, given the time that I spend kind of using it to help me with so many different tasks. So these are just some of the ways in which I've used it in my business recently. So I will use it to help me with drafting blogs for my website. I'll use it to help me with writing social media captions for Instagram. I recently got it to help me with doing an SEO audit on my website. So I copied all the content from my website pages, put it into AI, and asked it to do a review on some of the keywords and make suggestions of how to change some of the content to be more SEO optimized. For academic support, I've just done my supervision training. And when it comes to assignments or anything that's about academic writing or citations or anything like that, my brain switches off and says, nope, we're not going there. So for me, it's really helpful when I struggle to understand something to upload it into AI and say, like, can you explain this in really simple language, what this is looking for, and ask me questions, like prompt me in a really straightforward way. Ask me a question so that I can answer this. So I use it to kind of help me understand more complex things. Drafting workshop outlines. So I do a lot of sessions, workshops, and things like this, CPD workshops. It helps me to draft and create those. And then maybe analyzing complex data. So something it helped me with recently is I was running paid ads for a product that I'm selling. And I know how to set up the ads myself and do that. But what I could never quite understand is the results, the in Ads Manager, the outcome and the results from running the campaigns. So I was able to go into my Ads Manager and just copy and paste all the stats from that, put it into AI and say, can you explain what these results mean? And so AI was basically able to write it down a really clear answer around how much I had invested in the ads, how much money I had made from it, what the return was for it, which ads were working for me, which ads weren't working for me, and then suggestions of what to tweak and what to change to make it more cost effective. So that's something in the past, if I've been doing paid ads, I would have been investing in support of a ad specialist. I didn't need to do that because AI was able to do that analysis for me and break it down into a way that I could understand really easily. So it could be really helpful for things like if you're thinking about maybe setting up ads or Google ads or things like that, things you don't understand how to do, it can be really helpful at breaking those down into simple instructions. As I mentioned before, the information that you give into AI will really impact the quality of what it gives you back. And this is where being really, really specific with the prompts that you're giving it is really important. Ideally, if you are on a paid account, that you're able to give it examples of your own writing. So on mine, I have uploaded pretty much the transcripts of every training I've ever delivered. I've uploaded copies of blogs I've written, anything, transcripts from podcast episodes I've done, anything that gives ChatGPT the information around my thinking around things, how I speak. My thoughts and perspective on particular topics, it's all in there. So ideally, you're wanting to give it that information first around you, your take on things, and the way in which you write. So I'm going to give you a little example of some of the prompting I did around blog writing. So as I mentioned, my niche is binge eating. So something that is prevalent within my niche is Mounjaro. And the weight loss injections. My husband had sent me a BBC article that was about a report that had come out to say that 2/3 of people had regained weight within 2 years of stopping taking the Mounjaro. And I thought, God, that would be a really interesting blog to write about. Therapists will sit on different fences around the weight loss medications. Me personally, I am somebody's going to choose to take them, they're choosing to take them. And if they're choosing to take them and they're also considering maybe working with a therapist around the why behind some of the issues with food or their relationship with food, then I'm all for supporting that. So I wanted to use this blog to kind of write about my thoughts on the research and on the article, but also for it to be a link to my services. So in ChatGPT, I said, I want to write a blog from a private practice. The outcome of the blog is to lead people to support packages for those on GLP-1 medication. I want to reference that 2 and 3 regain weight within 2 years of stopping, and I've put the link to the article, and I've also put the link to my therapy page and services. Now, I've said, I don't want you to write the blog yet. First, ask me 5 questions to help you understand my personal views and prepare to write a more authentic post. Then it's asked me questions. So, why do I believe GLP-1s are misunderstood? What emotional and psychological challenges I see in clients, what therapy should and shouldn't be in this context, how I feel about the stat around the regain, and what makes my support package different. So it asked me these questions and I went in and answered each one with my own views. And then I asked it to look at how to optimize the blog for SEO and also for ChatGPT searchability as well. So it gave me keyword ideas. It gave me an SEO blog title and URL. It gave me a clear structure because the headings in blogs is really important for being found on SEO. And it gave me advice around how to put links in the blog because linking is also really important as well. And it also created an outline, a format that makes it more likely to be found by AI. And then I asked it to write a blog in a clear, simple, and friendly tone, taking into consideration all the keyword recommendations to optimize for SEO and AI search. And it did just that. So I didn't just say, write me a blog about the Mounjaro, people stopping Mounjaro and weight regain. I made sure it asked me questions first, that it understood my thoughts, my views, and it actually did a really good job. And the output of the blog was that it was a really simple, clear, easy to read blog with clear headings, which means that that will be really good from an SEO perspective and for AI search as well. So that's just to kind of demonstrate if you are thinking about using ChatGPT to help you with any of these sorts of tasks, that we don't want to just ask it something really simple and then use the output. Think about what would be really good for it to know. It would be really good for it to know your niche, your specialism, where you work, how you work, what's your goal of whatever this piece of content or whatever it is that you are asking it to do. What do you want the outcome of that to be? And to really give it as specific information as possible. And then based on the output that you get, you're asking for further refinements and asking further questions until you get to something that you feel confident and comfortable with. So I'd love to hear, because I've been rattling on for a little while now, just from some of the things that I've kind of mentioned. Is there anything that's popping into your head that AI might be able to support you a little bit more with? And do pop it into the chat. Like, is there anything that is really time draining, energy sucking for you that you might be able to use ChatGPT to help you a little bit with? Yep, social media captions and ideas for post. Claire, assuming this, oh, I've just missed, only available with the paid version. You should still be able to do quality blog writing even with the free, but probably what I would do is copy and paste in, first of all, your ideal client, all that information about you first, and then write it, ask it to write the blog for you. Blog, social media, workshop polishing, social media content, blogs, ideas, clinical notes, quite new to PP, advertising and getting specific on niche. Alex, use a free version and can use everything mentioned. I have a free account in ChatGPT, remembers my ideal client and tone. Oh, that's good to know, Alex, that it's actually remembering more of that. Would love it if it could do clinic notes. So probably just on that, I would say, not to obviously to not enter anything that is identifiable. I mean, it goes without saying, but for things like the client notes, writing up client notes, I'd be more inclined to use the GDPR compliant ones opposed to ChatGPT. But ChatGPT could be something that you're using for more general notes where there's no identifiable information in it, or for brainstorming, maybe if you've got a bit stuck with a client and you're looking for a bit of a brainstorm around different interventions, different ways of working. I've used it to write like hypnosis scripts for me and tapping scripts, and the output has been fantastic. Like what it's produced has been great. Struggle with the SEO on a website because it seemed to repeat itself, so it wasn't so good with helping you with SEO. Okay. Any other ideas that you have around how you would use it? The sounds, for the most part, things like blog writing, things like social media, can be really helpful with. And those tend to be the jobs that we don't like so much. So it's good if we can find ways to try and make it quicker and a little bit smoother. Okay, so I think you've already mentioned some of it. So it could be that you're using it to help with blog writing, auditing your website content. I think sometimes we can't see the wood for the trees, and we write something ourselves and then we're reading it and we're rereading it. And that's where I think ChatGPT can be quite helpful, just to kind of copy and paste it, because we write from maybe the therapist perspective and we want to get it reviewed and audited and feedback on it from how the client might feel and their perspective. So that can be good for getting that, the ways to tweak the content that you write. Writing your social media content, creating your private practice paperwork, newsletters, CPD workshops, treatment plan brainstorming, creating like client resources if you wanted to create like personalized handouts, worksheets, things like that. AI could do it very easily. Weekly planning and scheduling, maybe if you feel like really overwhelmed and you're spending loads of times doing all of these different tasks, like putting everything that you do into ChatGPT, explain what you're struggling with, what's overwhelming you, and it can help kind of brainstorm and look at different ways to create a better structure for you. Digital products to sell. I I have on my private practice website like a self-study program, and something I've been kind of thinking about and reflecting on is it's like an 8-week self-study program, and the stats tend to show that it's only a really small percentage of people will see programs and online programs through to the end. It's something like 3%. Only 3% will complete online courses. And so I was trying to think of different product ideas that maybe are much more short term, that are really, really easy to access. And so I uploaded into ChatGPT absolutely everything around my private practice, my training, all previous trainings that I've delivered, the course, the 8-week course. I did, uploaded all of it and said, create some different ideas for shorter, low-cost products that are easy to access. And it gave me a lot of different ideas. And then we worked through one that I thought was the best idea and have created a whole new digital product, like a little mini course, email mini course, out of that. I've done something very similar with the mentoring side of the business, and I'll share one of the products with you at the end here, where it helped me kind of figure out where my unique strengths are, all the things that I offer, what my take is around marketing for therapists and private practice, and created different ideas for products. And one of those products I now sell, and that's where the paid ad was coming in. Client onboarding processes, if you're regularly sending the same things, is there a way to create templates using ChatGPT to help you, or just research on anything around your niche, research on how to market more effectively, researching how to do ads, lots of different ways in which it can help you. So like I already mentioned, try as best you can to give it as much information about you and how you work before you ask it to do anything. And like I said, if you are on the paid platform, its capacity and use tends to be much greater. You can set on the paid platform. I'm not sure about the free, it might be able to do this, but on the paid, I can go in and in the custom settings, I have a whole list of like words and phrases that I don't want it to use. So AI can do quite a lot of language like game changer and things that just I wouldn't say. So I've given it a whole list of words that I don't want it to ever use, so that the output of it tends to be an awful lot better. So if you can give it as much information about you, first of all, that tends to help with the quality. I've already just kind of touched on this around the using it for client notes, just ensuring that there's never identifiable information that goes into it, and you're using it in much more of a generic way, maybe for brainstorming or just for keeping simple notes. Obviously, don't use it to replace your own clinical judgment. And if you are using AI assisted notes, ensure that you're getting informed consent from your client. I have seen cases of it giving like false information where people have asked it for like research articles on things, and it's given links to research, and then either the links don't work, or when they've gone and double checked it's not factual or it's not correct. So any research that you're asking it to do, it's always worth just double checking it and making sure that it is accurate. So what I thought we would do is I created a little custom GPT tool, which is to help with ideas around generating content for social media. So inside my membership community, every Monday I give therapists ideas of different posts, and it's all under this framework. So there's a connection post, which is a post that the objective is about connecting you with your ideal client and then really resonating with your content. An authority post, which is showing your kind of area of expertise and confidence in and around your niche. Lead is then inviting them to come and to follow you, download your resources, or inquire about working with you. And then mindset is helping them to maybe to reframe something that they might feel about themselves, and yeah, like demystify and a bit of myth busting. So I'm gonna put it into the chat, the little link. So I'm hoping that you should be able just to click on it and then a prompt box should come up. And then there'll be a little series of questions it'll ask you. So it'll ask you, um, I'll put it in there, I'll put it in the box now just so you can go and have a little click on it and hopefully it will open and start working. This is where I hope I don't end up with egg on my face because it doesn't open or it doesn't work. So come back and do let me know if it's working, but it should let you just hit on a little text box, and then it'll ask you some little questions about your ideal clients, and it'll ask a series of little questions to understand you a little bit more. And then it should give you a little suggestion of different ideas of posts that you could create for social media. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to have a play about with that. If somebody could in the chat box just come back to me and let me know that the link is working, first of all. It's working. Brilliant. Thank you. There should be like a little box that has some words in it, Ellen, and just tap on that little box and it should start asking you questions. That's okay. If you don't have an account or you don't want to sign up, it's no problem. I mean, this works within the free account, but if you don't want to, it's not a problem. So I'm just going to I'll turn my microphone off just for a minute or two while people just have a little play with the prompt. And once you've had a little go of playing about with it, you can come back into the chat and let me know how you got on. Okay, just checking in to see if you've all had a little chance. And see, Sharon, you said you got some content to work with. So the idea, oh, Hannah's still going. It's very easy to end up down rabbit holes with this thing. That's what I tend to frequently be down all sorts of rabbit holes with it. But hopefully it's just giving you a little bit of an idea of how quickly that when we are giving it some information, as long as we're kind of as concise as we can be with giving it information, then it can give us a good output. Demi, you got a lead reel. Super. So if you're using social media, um, this hopefully the output will feel quite familiar to you, that it gives you these different little topic ideas and how you could present it, and how you could present it in maybe a carousel post, or how you could present it in a reel, and different variations of how you could do it, because it is really, really hard sometimes to think about, like, we're spinning so many plates, it can be really hard to think about ideas for social media. And this is where things like ChatGPT can be so helpful, that if you're kind of letting it know who your ideal client is and it's asking you questions about their struggles and difficulties, that it can come up with a whole host of different ideas relatively quickly that you can then just tweak. Oh, great. So Alex, fab questions to create great output. Really helpful for planning your September content. Fabulous. You've got 4 captions, really helpful and clear. Super. It's always a wee bit of a daunting moment when people are trying things and I'm just sitting waiting. So really glad to hear that you find it helpful. And that's what kind of I'm just so focused about, is like, how do we try and make these things so much easier? And for me personally, things like blog writing. Blog writing, I could have nearly spent a day writing a blog. We don't have time for that. So really helpful that these tools can help me do the things. It's my ideas, my thoughts, my opinions, perspective going in, and AI is the tool that's helping me just to do it much quicker. Eye-opening, so helpful, very helpful. Love the tool you've made. Thank you so much, Vicky. That is so, so helpful to hear. Yeah, so that tool is there for you to have a little bit of a play about and continue using if you so wish. And you can, if you do have a paid account, you could create your own little custom tools that do all this kind of for you. And I have these different tools as well built for therapists to help them with a number of different activities in private practice. Okay. So glad you had a little play about with that and that you did enjoy it. I did mention about having some products. This is not a big hard sell, but this is just, if you're interested in this, feel free to scan the QR code. So something that ChatGPT helped me to create, because I do spend a lot of time creating GPTs and tools for therapists, it created this idea for me, the Therapist Clarity Bundle. And this is training for me, but also a custom GPT tool that helps you get clarity on your ideal client and niche, and then writes your directory profile for you. So if that's something that you might be interested in, you can take a little screenshot of the QR code. And the other thing is that I have a membership community for therapists. So inside the membership community, all the custom GPT tools that I have are in there. There's ones for fee setting, writing profiles, content creation, blog writing, and I'm adding to that bank all the time. And there's also weekly coaching calls with myself. So if you're looking to get more support inside your private practice and have been struggling around your private practice marketing and client attraction, again, take a little photo of that QR code if that's something that you are interested in. And then that just leaves some time now for any questions that you might have for me. Any feedback, any questions, anything that you want to ask is over to you guys. You've used the therapist profile bundle and you love that. It was very useful to set your niche. Oh, thank you so much, Ruby. That's lovely to hear. Could it replace Canva? Well, funny you should ask that. I used to use Canva for absolutely everything, and now I find like for my social media, um, that I just do it all within Instagram and I don't use Canva so much. So I suppose it depends what you use Canva for. I mean, Canva essentially is a graphic design platform, so it's really helpful for like creating nice, if you're offering maybe like branded resources for clients or like ebooks or things like that. Canva is really helpful for that, or creating your logo, it's really helpful for. But if you're not really using it for any of that stuff, I find that if it's for social media, I just tend to do that all within Instagram now because I just find it so much easier. But they're two very different things. I guess Canva is more the graphic design. ChatGPT is more about the content and writing of content. Vicky, found it so helpful, so apprehensive not knowing my own voice, but this has given me help. You're very welcome. If you upload a document, say with your own branding, is that open for anyone to see? You're thinking of confidentiality. Um, no, so you just ensure that on your account, just double check. I always just double check like your settings. So like in my account, there was one of the settings and the setting was something like about learning for other people. And it was something about ChatGPT taking my content to help others learn. So I switched that off so that to ensure that my chats or my content wasn't going to be going anywhere else. So I would just say always go to your account. In theory, should be private, but I would just be double checking everything in your security settings and just switching anything off that you don't want to do. How to create a custom GPT or just give in the prompt. So there's two. The custom GPT is only on the paid account. In the free account, you just have to rely on your own prompts and going in and kind of prompting. With the custom GPT, you basically would go in and you would upload all of the instructions of how you want a task to be done and how you want the task to be completed. ChatGPT will help guide you through the process. So you could go in and say, like, I want to create a custom GPT to help me with writing social media each week, and it would help to guide you through the process. But it would be really important for it to know, Ruby, like your ideal client, how you work, your tone of voice. It needs to know all of that to really it be worthwhile for you to do it. Any other questions coming through? No problem, Ruby. You're very welcome. I think for once in my life, I have actually finished up a little bit early. That is so unlike me. I tend to waffle on and get overexcited about things and then keep people behind. It was so relatable. Thank you. You are so, so welcome. If you do have any questions, you want to know a little bit more, I usually tend to hang out more on Instagram. So my handle is Prosper in Private Practice. If you want to send any messages, any questions, give me any feedback, just shoot me a little message on there. And you're all very welcome. I'm glad that you found that was helpful today. And hopefully I will reconnect with some of you again soon. There is something I've just remembered I'm doing in a couple of weeks' time. You will probably see me marketing and promoting it loads in the coming weeks. But week commencing the 15th of September, I'm doing a week of free training that's all focused on websites and how do you write a great website that speaks to your ideal client and helps to attract your good fit clients. So it's week commencing the 15th of September, and I'll be doing little live training sessions similar to this over lunchtime. I'll be promoting it over the next week or two. So keeping a little eye out for that. If that's something that you are interested in and you don't see any details, just fire me over a little DM on Instagram and I will send you the details over. Hannah, free account settings, reference save memories, reference save chat. So that's the bit just to go in to check your own security settings and just make sure that you have it in a way that is helpful for you. All right, so enjoy the rest of your Friday, whatever you are doing, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you all soon. Take care. Bye bye.